Hey guys, hey! How are you? Happy Homebrew Wednesday. How are you today? I hope you're having a fantastic or a fair or an okay week. It's freezing outside. God, I went to the store earlier to get milk and my God, it really froze my, wazoo off. But anyway, we're here, nice and warm and toasty. I just finished making a Craig's Kitchen video and I had a nice heartwarming dish. Now I'm full. But it's time for a homebrew. The Craig's Kitchen video will be posted very soon, by the way. Next few days. So, a lot of work. That takes hours to do those videos, but I like them and they're fun. So, let's get into a homebrew. Wow, well, not as much of a pop as I would have hoped it would be. This has been sitting around for about 3 weeks now, and it's the Cooper's European Lager that I did, but it's in the bottle instead of in the keg. So let's see what's happened over the last 3 weeks. It's been sitting in a very cold basement. So, is it carbonated enough? I'm not sure. It actually looked much better in the keg than it does here. But I wanted to bottle a couple of these and just to see how the aging process did for it. And I know 3 weeks isn't long, but we're going to leave the other one for a month or two. Okay, well, let's see what we've got. Well, that's turned out pretty nice. That has matured quite a bit from the kegged version of this, which I did not age. And I was complaining how it was kind of sour and weird tasting. This has lost a lot of that, a lot of it. A little undercarbonated, but that's my fault, I guess. Anyways, so last week I did sort of a Q&A thing where I responded to a bunch of comments that were in the video the week before, and apparently that went quite well according to some of you guys. You enjoyed that. So this time we have more questions and quite a few more. So this Homebrew Wednesday video is dedicated to responding to some of those. Now I can't do all of them, and I did respond to some of them, in the comments below the video because they were easy enough to do and I just quickly responded. But we've got some here that we will address, and some of the questions are quickies and some of them are a little more elaborate. So let's see. First one I've got here is about brewing high alcohol beer. Have I tried it? Can I do it? Can you do it? Yeah, well, of course you can. You're probably going to end up doing a darker, more of an amber colored beer if you do this, unless you want to use a lot of adjuncts like sugar, rice or whatever. The alcohol is derived from the sugar, of course, and if you don't have a lot of malt in there, then you really don't have a lot of sugar, so you're going to have to add sugar to it to get the higher alcohol beer. And then you're risking, I don't know, a thin beer that doesn't have a lot of body, a lot of head retention and mouthfeel. One of the beers I did, all grain beers I did, was 7.5%, and it was beautiful. It was an IPA. It had great head retention and all that stuff, and tasted awesome. Now, if you're talking about 9, 10, 11, 12% beers, I've got one in the fridge right now that somebody sent me, and I'm going to be doing a review on that very shortly. And I will get a recipe if I can. We'll see if that person can get us a recipe before we post that. Okay? So somebody asked me if I've built a keezer. No, I haven't. I have this freezer that's got the temperature control on it. I open the lid, I pour a beer, I close the lid. Nobody else sees my beer setup but me. So why should I, make this pimped up thing when nobody's going to see it? and I don't mind making the effort to lift up the lid and pour myself a beer. So I didn't do that. How somebody wants to know how to get into more elaborate recipes if he's just brewing beer kits, how to start moving up. Take a look for my video called, I think it's called How to Pimp Up a Beer Kit, or How to Boost Up a Beer Kit, or something like that. I forget the exact name of it. Other than that, the best thing to do if you're just doing beer kits and you want to start getting into some hops and some grains is to get yourself some grains. Let's say a common grain, a very common one is Crystal 60, or a crystal malt grain. 60 is kind of the middle of the road. And steep it in hot water, 160 degree water, about a gallon, in a grain bag for about half an hour to an hour, and add that to your beer. Add that to your beer kit, see what it does. Alternatively, you can do that, and then you can boil it, which you're going to want to boil anyways. I should mention that you do want to boil it regardless, because you want to sanitize the wort that you just made there, and throw some hops in there. Get an ounce of Cascade or Citra or something like that, or whatever, and just throw it in there and boil it for 5 minutes with that wort that you created from that grain. Add that to your beer kit. Okay, these are the beginning steps of getting into more elaborate beer. This is, partial extract brewing. And then you can, from there, you can do a full hour boil where you make your own bittering hops and your own flavor hops. Bittering hops boil for an hour, flavor hops boil for 5 to 10 minutes or something. And then so you can do that with the same wort you just made from the grains I just told you about. And then there's one called mini mash on the stove. I did a mini mash, I've done a couple of them actually, where you take some base malt, which is 2-row, or that's one of them, a couple of pounds of 2-row or base malt, and you do a little mini mash on the stove, just 145, 150 degrees. Keep it at that temperature for about an hour, do a little mash. But watch the videos, there's a few of them on YouTube that you can watch. And from there you can work yourself up to all grain. It's these little steps along the way that I highly recommend that you do. If you're scared, or you're a little bit apprehensive about getting into more than just kits. Sorry, it sounded like I said kids there. Kits. Then these little steps, or even just make it a hop tea. So I have a video called Hop to It. That's just about making a little 10-minute hop boil, adding that to your beer. I just did that actually a few days ago, so I can't wait to taste that one. Okay, so try those things. See how that works out. Somebody asked me if I only keg. Yes, for the most part, I only keg. The only time I bottle is if I have too much beer that won't fit in the keg. Then I have to put some in bottles. And here's one of those examples here, where not only did I have too much beer to fit in the keg, because my kegs are 19 liters and I brewed this at 23, but I also wanted to age this for a while to see how it fared in the bottle as opposed to in a keg. It fared fairly well actually. But no, I don't like bottling. I bottled for 20 some years and I'm done. Cooper's ginger beer, the kit. Somebody asked me if I've ever tried a Cooper's ginger beer kit. No, I haven't. Can't get it. I don't know where to find it, but I'll try to see if my supplier can get some. Adding things to beer. I think this is like fruit or herbs and things like that. No, I haven't tried a lot of that because I'm afraid to, mess one up. Should I add some basil or some, what about some ginger? We were just talking about ginger beer there. Put some actual ginger, like fresh ginger, which I do have, always. I love that stuff. How about that? Put that in some beer. That could work. Or fruit, I haven't tried it. I just enjoy my IPAs and my, standard beers. So I haven't, but you never know. Am I going to be brewing more mead? No. No, I'm not. It takes too long. I can make great wine and great beer. It doesn't take nearly as long as mead does. I loved the mead that I made, but it was a year before I could drink it. And I'm just not into that sort of long process of waiting for stuff. You know, I don't want to spend, you know, months and months waiting for something to ferment and settle out. So I probably won't be doing more mead. Plus, honey's expensive here. The only reason I did the first batch is because the honey was donated to me. So, you know, I did it. But no. Somebody wants to know where to buy the Cooper's kits. These are simple questions, some of these. I'll put a link down in the box down below in the info section there, where you can click on that link and it will take you straight to the site that sells the kits that will ship them to you. Okay, you can buy the micro brew kit or the DIY kit or just the cans if you need them. Other than that, wherever, you know, locally, I don't know where you live or what, you know, what you've got around you, so I wouldn't know where, you know, where you can buy them. Of course, I'm not there to check it out. I buy them down the street, you know. So that's my best answer for that. 2 left. How long to lager? That's a question that is debatable. Months, weeks. The answers to this question are as, you know, as diverse as, you know, the ways of making beer. You know, people are going to comment on this video down below, so watch for the comments. Keep coming back and checking to see whether who, you know, if anyone said anything about any of these things, because that's what I'm trying to establish here is, you know, sort of a conversation between myself and you guys, and, you know, your responses to this video are going to be helping me answer these questions. And finally, the fill hose. Okay, I gotta go get the fill hose. Hang on a sec. Okay. The dreaded fill hose. You've seen me use it. Some of you have cringed. And I've been teased, mocked, criticized, and then some about this thing. There's no, the concern that some people have expressed over the years about this thing is that it's a garden hose thing, and it generally, garden hoses, they have an odor, they have a smell, a plasticky smell. Okay, now this doesn't. Now let me tell you the story behind this thing, and I don't know why I don't replace it with something better. I don't know, it just works. There's absolutely no, it smells like water. I used to live in a house. I used to, used to rent a house, a different house than this. And in the laundry room there was, you know, the wash tubs and everything, and there was this hose. And I was making my beer down there. And I was thinking, man, this is really cool. Use this hose, fill the bucket up. You don't have to put it under the tap or anything. It was cool. And when we moved out, I just thought to myself, because, you know, the guy who rented the house, I don't think, who knows if this is his hose or, you know, whose it is, so I just took it. I stole the hose from the house that we rented, and this is it. And it's gotten all stiff, you know, in some areas, but, so this was back in, this is about, I'd say, 20, God, what was I, 26, 30, so it was a good 20 years ago. A good 20 years ago that I stole this hose from this house. Now, it's had so much water run through it, and you know, I've been chastised for this thing in forums and in different places for using this hose to fill up my. Guys, there's absolutely no smell whatsoever. It gets sanitized every time I make a batch of beer. It gets sanitized, you know, thoroughly. It's had so much hot water run through it over the years that if there was anything coming out of this hose, any odors or any tastes, there'd be nothing left of the thing. Leave the hose alone. The hose is off. There's nothing wrong with the hose. Anyway, the last thing I want to cover that's a question that I get is, do I filter my water when I brew? And the answer to that is no. We have, first of all, our water comes from like right over there. Like it's literally, I can see it. If I stand on a roof, I can see the lake where the water comes from. Okay, it's Lake Ontario. So we're right close to it, and we have a very, in fact, we have one of the most advanced water filtration systems in North America, right here. Again, right over there, down down the mountain there. Of course, the thing I worry about most is the fluoride. If you look it up, fluoride's toxic and it's not good for you over time. But other than that, no, I could probably get bottled water, the big blue bottles, there's one right behind the camera here, and use that. Some people live in areas where the water's shitty, garbage. It's terrible and they can't use it, they don't even drink that water. Well, then you can't brew with it. I've never had a problem with just the water that we have out of the tap. That's all. I'm a simplistic kind of guy. So, if you feel you need to filter your water, then, look it up, figure out what you need to get to filter it, and filter it. But I don't. And, I'm 47 years old this month. I can't carry those 5-gallon water jugs from the grocery store anymore. I'm not perfect. I think what's perfect is what works for you. If you're looking at pleasing other people, well, then that's a different story. If you're looking at appeasing people or having people approve of you or what you do, well, then you'll never get perfect, because there's always going to be somebody out there that says, no, 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 you can't do that, and you shouldn't do this, and you shouldn't do that, and you did that, and that was wrong, and, you're going to get that with anything. Car stereos, home brewing, basket weaving, it doesn't matter. You're always going to get that. But if you're doing it for yourself and you're making it the way you like it and it's tasting good to you and it's working for you, I don't see how you'd ever get closer to perfection than that. Okay, bottom line. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you soon, and we'll see you in a few days on the Craig's Kitchen or whatever, depending on when you're watching this, of course. We're always gonna see you on Friday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern time on justin.tv/CraigTube for a good time, a good party, where you don't need the car keys. You sit home, drink cheap beer, listen to great tunes, and chat with a great crowd in the chat room. Okay, well, I'm out, guys. Thank you very much again. 17. Cheers out.